You've heard it your whole life. Vegetables are always good for you. But have you ever finished a healthy plate and still felt older than you are? More tired? More achy? A little foggy? As our bodies change after 60, some foods that used to agree with us can start telling a different story. New research is challenging a few long-held beliefs about eating right in our later years, and it might explain why energy dips, joints complain, and sleep isn't as refreshing as it used to be. The good news is simple and encouraging. Today we'll talk about 4 vegetables that are better to limit and 4 quiet heroes you can lean on daily to feel steadier, sharper, and more alive. If you're enjoying these calm, fact-based health insights, consider subscribing. It keeps this space alive and ad-free. Now, let's explore the first daily choice that keeps your body young at heart. Picture an ordinary morning. You sip your coffee, lace up your walking shoes, and build a clean lunch, maybe a crisp salad with raw broccoli, a side of corn, or a baked potato with dinner, because it feels light and familiar. You're doing the best you can, yet by late afternoon your knees feel stiff getting out of the car. Your brain stalls on a name you usually remember. After dinner you want nothing more than the recliner and a blanket. It's frustrating because you're trying to do the right things. It isn't your fault. Bodies over 60 handle starch, fiber, and plant compounds differently than they did at 30 or 40. That doesn't mean vegetables are the problem. It means the type and the way we prepare them matters more now. A few small switches, swapping, cooking a little longer, pairing with the right fats, can ease inflammation, steady blood sugar, and bring back a sense of ease in your day. Everything we'll share is grounded in clinical nutrition research and in real experiences from older adults who've made gentle, realistic changes. No extremes, no guilt. I'll explain what's happening in plain language, so you can notice patterns in your own body. Take a moment to jot down what resonates. If you hear something that sounds like your knees, your digestion, or your afternoon energy crash, that's your body nudging you kindly. We'll move at a calm pace, offer safe alternatives, and keep the focus on what helps you enjoy time with family, a bit of gardening, or that evening walk around the block. Let's begin with the first food that looks harmless on the plate, but can act like a sugar rush under the surface. One most of us serve without thinking: white potatoes. White potatoes, the hidden sugar trap. For most of us, white potatoes have been a comfort food for decades, mashed at family dinners, baked with a little butter, or fried to golden perfection. They feel harmless, even wholesome. But after 60, the body starts to process starch very differently. What once gave you steady energy can now behave more like dessert than dinner. Potatoes sit high on what scientists call the glycemic index, a measure of how fast a food raises your blood sugar. A baked white potato can spike glucose nearly as quickly as a spoonful of sugar. When that happens, your pancreas works overtime releasing insulin, and those frequent surges can wear your system down. Over time, they may lead to fatigue, foggy thinking, and that creeping weight around the middle that seems to appear no matter how carefully you eat. Think of it this way: your body at 60 doesn't need less food, it needs smarter fuel. After years of service, your metabolism runs at a gentler pace. Quick starches like potatoes rush in too fast, causing energy highs and lows that make afternoon naps feel unavoidable. It's not about blame or restriction, it's about understanding what's changed. That knowledge puts the power back in your hands. Margaret, a retired teacher from Ohio, learned this firsthand. She used to enjoy a baked potato with dinner most nights, believing it was a healthy, simple meal. Yet she found herself nodding off after lunch and feeling sluggish in the mornings. When her doctor explained how starch converts to sugar so rapidly, she decided to experiment. She swapped her potatoes for mashed cauliflower seasoned with olive oil and herbs. Within weeks, her energy evened out. She told me she no longer needed her mid-afternoon coffee just to stay awake, and her mood lifted along with her energy. If potatoes are your comfort food, don't worry. You don't have to give them up completely. Try enjoying them less often, or trade them for lower glycemic vegetables like cauliflower, turnips, or rutabagas. Steam them, roast them, or mash them just as you would potatoes. You'll still get that warm, satisfying bite, but without the sudden sugar rush. Small swaps like these can make a big difference in keeping your energy steady and your heart and mind strong. Next, let's look at another familiar favorite that's quietly raising inflammation for many older adults. Corn. Corn, the sweet deceiver. Corn feels like an American classic, grilled at summer barbecues, folded into casseroles, or sweetened into cornbread that reminds us of home. But the corn most of us buy today is not the same plant our grandparents grew. Over the decades, modern farming and genetic modification have made corn much sweeter, with higher sugar and starch content than the old varieties. It's also one of the most heavily sprayed crops in the country, often treated with pesticides that linger in the grain. For a body over 60, that combination, excess sugar and chemical residue, can quietly stir up inflammation, fatigue, and joint discomfort that seem to come from nowhere. When corn breaks down in your system, it acts much like a simple carbohydrate. The quick sugar rise may feel harmless at first, but over time it keeps your blood sugar and insulin levels bouncing like a roller coaster. That constant up and down can leave you tired after meals or wide awake at night. Corn oil, which many of us use for cooking, adds another layer of trouble. It's packed with omega-6 fatty acids, the kind that, in excess, feed inflammation instead of calming it. If you've been dealing with stiff fingers, sore knees, or nagging fatigue despite eating what you think is a light diet, corn might be part of the story. Robert, a 71-year-old retired engineer, learned this after years of painful arthritis. He loved fresh corn on the cob in summer and used corn oil for nearly every stir-fry. When his doctor suggested cutting back, he replaced corn oil with olive oil and skipped corn for a couple of months. The change amazed him. His hands loosened. He could open jars again, and he felt steady enough to get back to his garden. Sometimes it's not what we add, but what we quietly remove that gives the body space to heal. If you love the crunch or sweetness of corn, there are easy swaps that keep meals satisfying. Green beans or asparagus give a similar bite without the sugar rush. Hearts of palm add a gentle sweetness that feels indulgent but keeps your blood sugar steady. Try them roasted, in salads, or tossed with olive oil and herbs. Your joints, your digestion, and your energy will thank you. Next, we'll look at another surprise. A group of vegetables often praised as superfoods, yet when eaten raw, they can quietly slow your thyroid and drain your energy. Raw cruciferous veggies, when healthy, hurts the thyroid. Broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, they've all earned their place in the spotlight as superfoods. And they are wonderful foods, rich in fiber, antioxidants, and cancer-fighting compounds. But here's the part most people don't hear. They're not always friendly to your thyroid when eaten raw, especially after 60. As we age, the thyroid, that small butterfly-shaped gland at the base of your neck, can become more delicate. It helps regulate energy, mood, and metabolism. When it slows down, you might feel colder than usual, gain a little weight without changing your diet, or notice your hair thinning. Inside these vegetables are natural compounds called goitrogens. Their job in the plant world is to protect against pests, but in the human body, they can interfere with how your thyroid uses iodine, a mineral that keeps that gland working smoothly. When raw broccoli or cabbage is eaten in large amounts, those goitrogens can block iodine absorption, quietly slowing your thyroid's rhythm. For most young people, the body compensates. But after 60, when thyroid activity naturally tapers, that extra interference can make fatigue, brain fog, and sluggishness more noticeable. Patricia, a 64-year-old accountant, came in puzzled by her energy drop. She'd been eating raw broccoli and cauliflower every day in her salads, thinking it was helping her lose weight. Her doctor found her thyroid numbers slipping below normal. Instead of medication, they started with one small change: cooking her vegetables. She began lightly steaming or sautéing them before eating. Within a couple of months, her energy returned, and she said she finally felt like herself again. Her hair stopped shedding, and the stubborn pounds around her midsection began to ease away. The good news is that cooking neutralizes most of the goitrogens while keeping the nutrients intact. Steam or sauté your cruciferous vegetables for 5 to 7 minutes, just until they turn bright green and tender. You can also pair them with iodine-rich foods like seaweed flakes or iodized salt to support your thyroid even more. Your body will still receive all the protective benefits of these vegetables without the hidden slowdown. Up next, we'll look at another group of foods that seem innocent but can secretly stir up joint pain and stiffness: the nightshades. Nightshades, hidden triggers behind joint pain. For anyone living with arthritis, nerve pain, or that morning stiffness that takes a few minutes to loosen up, certain vegetables can quietly make things worse. They belong to a family called nightshades: tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, and white potatoes. These foods are packed with colour and flavour, but they also contain compounds called solanine and lectins. In small amounts, these are harmless to most people. Yet for many adults over 60, they can act like a spark that keeps inflammation smouldering in the joints. Think of them as tiny irritants that sneak into your system and whisper to your immune cells: something's wrong, even when nothing is. Over time, that constant whisper turns into swelling, stiffness, and fatigue. Researchers studying older adults with chronic joint pain found something remarkable. When participants removed nightshades for a few months, more than half reported less pain and better mobility. It didn't happen overnight, but as their bodies cleared those plant compounds, inflammation markers dropped and movement became easier. It's a gentle reminder that sometimes our bodies aren't reacting to age, they're reacting to what's on our plate. James, a 68-year-old retired firefighter, spent years battling rheumatoid arthritis that made simple things like tying his shoes painful. He loved tomatoes and used them daily, in pasta sauce, sandwiches, and salads. At his doctor's suggestion, he took a break from nightshades. Within a few weeks, the swelling in his hands eased and the constant ache started to fade. After 3 months, he was walking his dog every morning again, without pain. When he reintroduced a small portion of tomato, the stiffness returned, clear proof that his body felt calmer without them. If you suspect nightshades might be affecting you, start small. Swap tomato sauce for pumpkin or butternut squash puree. Try celery or fennel instead of bell peppers, and replace eggplant with zucchini or mushrooms. You'll still enjoy rich flavors, just without the discomfort that comes later. Every person's body is unique, but learning your own triggers can bring real relief. Now that we've seen which vegetables to limit, let's shift toward the good news, the ones that can truly help your body heal and thrive. Garlic, nature's circulation booster. Garlic has been part of human medicine for thousands of years, but its real magic often gets overlooked in modern kitchens. Inside every clove is a compound called allicin, formed only when the garlic is crushed or chopped and allowed to rest. That small chemical reaction is what gives garlic its smell and, more importantly, its healing strength. Allicin helps your blood vessels relax, keeps platelets from sticking together, and gently thins the blood in a natural way. For people over 60, this can mean smoother circulation, lower blood pressure, and a heart that doesn't have to work quite so hard. It also supports brain health by improving blood flow to delicate areas that control memory and focus, helping to keep the mind clear and calm. Helen, a 72-year-old retired nurse, had been struggling with stubbornly high blood pressure for years. She followed her doctor's advice, took her medications, and ate a low-salt diet, but her readings rarely improved. When she learned about garlic's circulation benefits, she started a simple habit: 2 fresh cloves a day, crushed and left to sit for 10 minutes before she mixed them with olive oil and spread them over whole grain toast. Within 6 weeks, her numbers dropped to a healthy range, and she said she felt lighter, less tense, and more energized than she had in years. Her doctor was pleasantly surprised to see her medication list cut in half. The secret to unlocking garlic's full potential is patience. When you crush or chop it, wait at least 10 minutes before cooking or eating. That's when allicin forms. Add it toward the end of cooking to protect those delicate compounds. If raw garlic feels too strong, try lightly roasting it or using aged garlic supplements. They still support heart and brain function without the pungent aftertaste. Garlic is powerful, so if you take prescription blood thinners, it's wise to check with your doctor before increasing your intake. Otherwise, it's one of the simplest, most affordable ways to strengthen circulation naturally. Coming up next, we'll look at another unsung hero, a green vegetable that quietly balances blood sugar and soothes digestion: okra. Okra, the blood sugar balancer. Okra is one of those vegetables that rarely gets much attention. It's often pushed aside for flashier greens or sweeter produce, but for people over 60, okra might just be the quiet hero your body's been waiting for. Inside those slender green pods is something called mucilage, a naturally thick gel-like substance that forms when okra is cut or cooked. It might not look glamorous, but this gentle slime is what gives okra its power. It slows down how quickly sugar is absorbed into your bloodstream, helping to steady blood sugar levels and prevent the energy crashes that can follow meals. That same mucilage also soothes the digestive tract, acting like a natural buffer that keeps your gut calm and your microbiome happy. Sandra, a 70-year-old retired bank manager, discovered this by accident. She'd been struggling to keep her blood sugar under control even with medication. Her readings swung up and down, and she often felt exhausted by mid-afternoon. After learning about okra's effect on blood sugar, she started adding a small serving to her lunch 4 days a week, sometimes stewed, sometimes roasted. She also tried something simple called okra water. Within a few weeks, her A1C numbers began to drop, and the fog of fatigue started to lift. She told me she could finally get through her mornings without that heavy, sluggish feeling, and her doctor was thrilled to see the improvement without changing her prescriptions. If you'd like to try okra water at home, it's easy. Slice 4 to 6 small pods, place them in a glass of water, and let them sit overnight in the refrigerator. In the morning, drink the liquid before breakfast, and you can still cook and eat the pods later that day. The texture may take some getting used to, but many find it refreshing and gentle on the stomach. Remember not to overcook okra, a light steam or quick sauté keeps its nutrients intact. Okra pairs beautifully with tomatoes, onions, or garlic and can be added to soups, stews, or even grilled. It's inexpensive, widely available, and works quietly behind the scenes to keep blood sugar steady and digestion smooth. Coming up next, we'll explore a deep red root that not only supports circulation, but can actually help restore energy and mental clarity: the mighty beet. Beets, the circulation and energy reviver. Beets are one of nature's most beautiful reminders that real nourishment can come from the simplest foods. Beneath their deep red colour lies a secret that can help revive energy, sharpen focus, and support the heart: nitric oxide. When you eat beets, your body converts their natural nitrates into nitric oxide, a molecule that relaxes and widens blood vessels. Think of it like gently opening up the highways of your circulatory system, allowing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to flow more freely to every cell. For people over 60, that boost in circulation can mean warmer hands and feet, steadier blood pressure, and even clearer thinking. Researchers at Oxford University found that older adults who drank a small glass of beet juice daily for several months not only lowered their blood pressure, but also showed improved blood flow to the brain, especially to the areas linked to memory and decision-making. Participants reported feeling more alert, more mentally agile, and better able to focus on everyday tasks. It's one of those rare foods that supports both body and mind in a single serving. Michael, a 73-year-old retired postal worker, experienced that firsthand. He'd been feeling drained for years, struggling with low energy and occasional dizziness. His doctor told him his circulation wasn't what it used to be. So he began adding cooked beets to his dinners and sipping beet juice a few times a week. Within a month, he said the difference was like turning the lights back on. His energy returned, and his evening walks became enjoyable again instead of tiring. His doctor even noted an improvement in his blood pressure readings and oxygen levels. If you want to try beets yourself, start slowly. A quarter cup of cooked beets or a few ounces of juice a day is plenty. Drink beet juice on an empty stomach for best results, and if you prefer a milder taste, add lemon juice or a slice of orange to brighten the flavour. The vitamin C also helps your body absorb iron more efficiently. Some people notice their urine turning pink or red after eating beets. That's harmless and actually means your body is processing them well. Whether roasted, boiled, or blended, beets bring vitality from the ground up. They're one of the simplest ways to refresh your circulation naturally and bring colour back to your plate and your day. Up next, we'll look at the ultimate everyday protector: dark leafy greens, the quiet guardians of strong bones, clear vision, and long-lasting brain health. Dark leafy greens, the everyday longevity shield. If there's one food group that truly earns the title of daily medicine, it's dark leafy greens. Spinach, kale, collard greens, arugula, they're some of the most nutrient-dense foods on Earth, yet they're often treated as a side dish instead of the main event. These greens are loaded with vitamins that protect your bones, eyes, heart, and brain. But their most overlooked gift is something called vitamin K2. This quiet nutrient works like a traffic officer for calcium, guiding it to your bones, where it strengthens them, and keeping it out of your arteries, where it could cause stiffness or plaque build-up. Over time, this simple process can make the difference between moving easily and feeling weighed down. Barbara, a 66-year-old retired teacher, learned just how powerful greens can be. She'd been diagnosed with early osteoporosis and mild memory lapses that left her feeling anxious about the future. Instead of starting medication right away, she made one gentle change: 2 cups of cooked greens every day. Some mornings she'd saute kale with a drizzle of olive oil and garlic. Other days she'd mix spinach into her scrambled eggs or blend collards into a smoothie. 18 months later, her bone scan showed real improvement, and her doctor was amazed. Even more uplifting, Barbara said her memory sharpened. She was remembering names, appointments, and recipes with ease. She told me she felt younger, not because of fewer wrinkles, but because she could rely on her body and mind again. To get the most from your greens, a little preparation makes all the difference. Lightly sautéing them in olive oil helps your body absorb their fat-soluble vitamins, especially K2 and lutein. A squeeze of lemon juice or a few drops of vinegar boosts iron absorption and adds brightness. Rotate your greens, spinach one day, kale or arugula the next, to give your body a wider mix of minerals. And whenever possible, choose organic varieties to avoid pesticide residue, especially on spinach. When you make leafy greens a daily habit, you're not just eating well, you're building a quiet foundation for long-term strength and clarity. They're the simplest, most natural shield against the wear and tear of time. Now that we've explored the best foods to nourish your body, let's bring it all together with a calm reflection on how these small choices can add up to a longer, brighter life. You've now seen the full picture, the 4 vegetables best to avoid, and the 4 that can bring your body back into balance. White potatoes, corn, raw cruciferous vegetables, and nightshades can quietly create stress for your system, while garlic, okra, beets, and leafy greens do the opposite. They nourish, protect, and restore. The goal isn't perfection or cutting out every food you love. It's understanding what your body truly needs now, in this season of life. Once you do, even small adjustments, a swap here, a little more colour there, can make an enormous difference. It's never too late to support your health, your energy, and your peace of mind. Every meal can be a quiet step toward feeling stronger and more alive. Take a moment to think about your own plate. Have you noticed that some meals leave you feeling light and energized, while others make you sluggish or achy? Your body is always giving you feedback. You just have to listen. Try making one simple change this week. Maybe it's adding a handful of spinach to breakfast, or replacing fries with roasted turnips. The key isn't speed, it's consistency. The more you tune in to what helps you feel good, the more confident and connected you'll feel in your own body. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Which of these foods surprised you most? Have you already tried cutting back on any of them, or adding more greens and garlic to your meals? Share your experience in the comments. I read every message, and your story might help someone else find hope. Thank you for taking the time to care for your health and for being part of this calm, curious space. Together, we can make aging feel lighter, brighter, and stronger. Every story, every tip we share here is meant to remind you, aging is not decline, it's wisdom in motion. Stay well, my friend. Until next time.